Now, from earliest times, Christianity and art have been intertwined, of course, but perhaps you'd not head to a church or cathedral if you wanted to take in the latest exhibition. My next guest hopes you'll do just that, though. Yesterday, New York artist Randy Klein spent some time installing his work in Edinburgh's St Giles Cathedral. The exhibition is called Moment to Moment. It's a tale in 100 sculptures, which sounds intriguing, so I'm really glad that Randy Klein has come into the Culture Studio. Randy, welcome to the programme.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Janice.
Oh, it's lovely to have you. Am I right in thinking you got off a plane and more or less went straight to St Giles and started work?
That is correct. It was a long day.
I bet it was. Is it all set up now?
Yes, it looks wonderful. I'm very pleased.
Now your task, Randy, is to use the medium of radio to describe these 100 sculptures. I've had a little look online, but I'll hand it over to you to perhaps talk about this, what this is all about and what your work looks like.
Well, it began quite simply. I just wanted to capture the feeling of an animation, single frames of animation as a sculpture. And it just grew and grew.
Because you work in a variety of mediums. You also make films, don't you?
Yes, in fact, on the website there are a few films based on these sculptures. That was my first idea. I took some photographs and then I just made an animation. Perhaps I should send something to John Lynch.
Yes.
But it then grew, as I say, and now there are 100 sculptures which tell a story.
Now, what's your material in terms of the sculptures?
The sculptures are all done in steel and copper. But I have to say, everyone asks me, what are these made of? What are these made of? It's not immediately apparent. I've treated them kind of uniquely. They almost have the feeling of bronze or ceramic. It doesn't shout, I am a piece of metal.
Yeah, because I just sort of peering at them online, my eyesight's rapidly deteriorating. But I was thinking, is there a bit of beating going on here? Are you kind of like hammering
Yes.
the metal? Yeah.
Well, I've actually cut it with an oxy flame, which is a very intense heat, and then I've heat formed them, forging them, and then I've drawn with an electric arc welder, so that I've actually drawn in weld onto the pieces, so they have a lot of dimension. They're not a flat cut-out piece of metal by any means.
Do you like this? This sounds rigorous and physical.
It's
Do you like to get
joy.
hands-on?
I like to think with my hands.
Now, what about the idea then of putting this on in a cathedral, in a church space? Why does it suit this?
Well, as you very sanguinely pointed out, it's a long history. The history of art and Christianity and holy places is a very long and very rich history. But actually, I had the exhibition touring in Italy, and in Italy there are some very beautiful ancient palazzi which have been restored beautifully, and they give you a certain reverential feeling. And I thought, when I bring it home to the UK, where can I find spaces like that? There really aren't those kind of palazzi, but in fact, the cathedral, and particularly the beautiful historic cathedrals like St. Giles, do give you that wonderful space in your mind. When you walk in, you leave behind your daily cares, and it just opens the mind and makes you receptive. And I felt how wonderful this would be.
Yeah, it's like it's almost the ideal of a gallery, isn't it? Sometimes you just walk into a gallery space and you feel, I'm away from the hustle and bustle and I can focus on something else.
Quite right. People have often said that museums of art are the new churches, but I'd like to take it one step further and use that kind of that idea of transcendence or revelation that is underpinning a lot of religious thought and really have that as a foil to the theme of the work. Because it's not by any means an abstract or minimal statement I'm making. It is, as I say, a narrative.
But it's not a narrative, I guess, that's prescriptive, that you wouldn't want to say to people listening now, this is what it's about.
Do you know, I'm very heartened by people's willingness to take the leap of faith and actually see the story. It's quite amazing how readily people see the story. They come to me and say, there's a little section here I don't quite get. I think, well, do you mean to say you've actually resolved the entire narrative apart from that one little section? And yes, people do see it. They tend to wander over to see all these pieces, and then they gradually realize they have to go to the beginning and look one piece at a time.
Now, see, that's very clever of you, because you are now subtly making people slow down through
well,
the work.
It is part of the idea. The idea, it is a journey or a pilgrimage.
Yeah.
The idea of laying the works out in this kind of fashion is a way of forcing people to relive that journey.
Now, although we're not telling people what to think, I think it would be nice just to give people an idea of the scale of the work. What size are the individual pieces?
The size of pieces are usually up to about 45 centimeters high, but it doesn't really give you a sense because when you see 100 pieces of that scale, it does have a wow factor. You do realize that this is a large piece made up of smaller elements. There are also, I should say, two very large pieces, which are sort of the bookends to the installation.
What's it like for you then as an artist? Do you kind of go in and sort of mingle with the crowds anonymously? I just wonder if it takes on a new dimension when you see the pieces and then you see people interacting with them.
You're reading my mind now, Janice, because this is what I love to do. And people finally realize, and they say, oh, well, you're the artist. But I love to hear what people say. I love to see how people follow it through. And as I say, I'm very pleased that people seem to get it. They seem to be very ready. We all like to make stories up. We like to see stories and things. We're receptive to the idea of a story. And I think people, once they figure that out, they go to the beginning and they figure out the story. And I love to watch it happen.
Really good to talk to you, Randy. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you. That's artist Randy Klein, and Moment to Moment, St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh, and as Randy said, opening tomorrow tea time. That's Friday the 3rd of May, and they're till the 16th. I think that's well worth going if you're in the capital, or perhaps make a wee jaunt, see something totally unusual, some art in St Giles.